So Faber Residence is the latest exciting development to hit Clementi this fourth quarter and is targeted to preview on the 3rd of October. So launches in Clementi are typically exciting because this is a mature town with many amenities as well as good schools. Last launch in Clementi was actually Alta along Clementi Avenue 1, which fared pretty well. So we will see whether Faber Residence will perform the same. So let's dive right in. So today we will just run through a quick introduction of the location of Faber Residence itself. Then we will go into the quick facts of the project as well as touch on how you can potentially qualify for the developer's VVIP priority booking. We'll then discuss the potential pricing of the development, and we will also touch on reasons why you as a buyer can consider Faber Residence, and we'll also touch on and discuss on reasons why you may be also concerned about Faber Residence. So Faber Residence is located along District 5 within the township of Clementi. Clementi is typically known for being a high-rise HDB town, but for Faber Residence itself, it's actually located in the lower density or less crowded side because it's actually located along the Faber landed estate. That will make it definitely more appealing for those who want to stay near Clementi but in the more quiet side. So as you can see from the drone shot, Faber Residence is located in the Faber landed enclave, so you can see the direct neighbours are either the low-rise condo developments or the landed properties in the surrounding area. So being in the township of Clementi, it is of course within close proximity to Clementi Central, which famously is everything you need lah. So basically Clementi Mall, Clementi Market, as well as even the Clementi Sports Stadium, everything you need is actually in Clementi, including supermarkets and as well as the polyclinics. So of course from our locality as well, we are also a quick drive. We take along Commonwealth Avenue West to Jurong, where of course all the mega malls within reach. And of course if you're working in the surrounding vicinity, Jurong Business Park is very nearby. And of course the One North area is also a short drive away, especially if you work in the One North area as well. So the school factor has to be heavily emphasized for this project because it's safe to say that the schools are actually one of the main anchors for demand in this locality. Of course, for this development itself, famously Nanhua Primary is within 1 km of Faber Residence itself. But of course, there are also good schools such as Clementi Primary as well as Peitong and Qifa that are within 2 km distance. Now we run through some quick facts of the development. So this project is developed by Cocoland, Hongleong and TID, so they're definitely no strangers to the Singapore market as they've been buying a lot of plots of land in the past few years. The total number of units here is 399, and the good thing is that the land size is actually a big one at 277,000 square feet land. But the estimated TOP, they say that it's going to be first quarter 2028, and because they're using a precast concrete system, it's also going to be building probably faster than the usual mode of construction. This project also has 9 blocks, and the good thing is that for the 399 units, there's also 399 car park lots. And I think this part is really key because firstly, not many projects nowadays actually have 1:1 car park ratio, and for a project like Faber that is not too near the MRT, it's very important that they have 100% to cater to the people who drive. And of course, the architect, we have the likes of P&T Consultants, which have also developed many projects in Singapore, and we also have all the other consultants within the project itself. So onto the unit mix, where we have 2 bedders. They're actually starting from 646 square feet, and the developer has also created 2 tiers of sizing for the 3-bedder, which is the 3-bedroom standard and basic at 797 square feet, 818 square feet as well as 861 square feet, and we also have the bigger 3 bedrooms, which is the 3-bedroom plus at 1033 to 1044 square feet. So I think it's good that they're actually catering to 2 sets of buyers, probably for those with the who are targeting a lower quantum versus the higher quantum of 3-bedders. There are also 2 tiers for the 4-bedroom, which is the 4-bedroom basic from 1119 square feet, and then we also have the 4-bedroom standard that is starting from 1206 square feet. And then we also have 1 stack of the 5-bedroom, which is also extremely rare for this area. And of course, it's important to note that this project is also harmonized with the land plot under the new ruling. All these sizes that you see here do not include spaces like the aircon ledge. So on to the developers. So the developers are certainly no strangers to us, with Cocoland as well as Hongleong Group recently acquiring many plots and developing them in Bugis, as well as the Lentor and the Springleaf area recently. So of course, a lot of their recent projects have fared really well. We have Lentor Modern, which achieved 84% of sales on the first day, more than 2 years ago. And then we have Lentor Mansion, 75% on the first day as well. And then of course, most recently, Springleaf Residence, which was very surprising because it actually achieved an outstanding sales day of 92% on the first day, and of course the average PSF was around 2175. So next we'll talk about the developer's priority scheme. Cocoland has recently allowed for certain groups of buyers to be included for a priority booking, which is actually held before the main public booking, which is actually very advantageous for you if you qualify because there's a higher chance of you securing your choice unit. And they also recently implemented this for Springleaf, so there were a lot of happier Springleaf buyers who managed to secure units early. The first group would be the loyalty purchase group, of which you may qualify if you're an ex-owner or a current owner of Cocoland or Hongleong properties. The next group of course would be the VVIP group. So these are typically the friends of Cocoland group or if they are related family members. Then the other group will of course be the multiple purchase group or the bulk purchase buyers group. This would be very advantageous for you if you are having, let's say, a first tier linkage, like let's say you have a sister or brother who is interested to buy, or if you have a parent, or you're buying with your child. So now we run through the pricing analysis for Faber Residence. So first we'll talk about the landed price for the project, which was, for Clementi, it's actually surprisingly low, and we see the highest bid was actually roughly $900 per square foot per plot ratio. But if we look at some of the recent land bids for 2025, when we compare Faber Residence, right, actually it was bid at $900 per square foot per plot ratio, which is actually under that of even, say, Springleaf Residence. Both locations are technically in OCR, but Faber Residence will probably have the edge because it's a more developed and mature town. I would say the best comparison with Faber Residence would actually be at Alta, which was actually bid for at 1250 per square foot. And you can see their average sold PSF was actually at 2,537. So if we see Faber Residence and we take Springleaf Residence as an example to compare, because both land bids were actually roughly the same, with Springleaf averaging around 2178, okay, we can safely say that maybe Faber Residence is also going to launch or average around the same price. This is actually a price matrix, simulates basically for each unit type based on the size and based on the PSF how much the prices are going to be like potentially. Now let's say we look at the 2-bedroom first, for example. Let's say we take 2,200 PSF as a guide. Okay, we potentially average having a 2-bedder here in Clementi from 1.4 to 1 million. Okay, actually in the whole market now you also can't find a 2-bedder for this kind of pricing anymore. So I think this is pretty attractive from this standpoint. And let's say we look at the 3-bedders. Of course, the smallest 3-bedders at 797 or 818 square feet at 2,200 PSF, it could potentially be under 1.8 million. Of course, we have the 3-bedder flexi also being at around 1.9 million. Then of course we look at the 3-bed plus at the 1033 or 1076 square feet. These are the ones that are probably going to be having the utility or bomb shelter for storage as well as a yard area and maybe a third bath as well. These would probably be averaging around 2.3 to 2.2 million for the bigger 3-bedders, maybe up to 2.3, 2.4 million for the higher floors. As for the 4-bedders, we have the 2.6, 2.7 mil range, and then of course for 5-bedder, 3.2 mil. Okay, so relating to the price, now we'll talk about two reasons why you can potentially consider Faber Residence. Faber Residence is potentially going to provide some mouth-watering prices. There's also very good price support in this area. For an area like Clementi, and we look at, for example, the launches in 2024 and 2025, all the land plots in this year and last year, if they were bid for around $900 or $800 per square foot per plot ratio, and this includes areas like Parktown, Springleaf, Lentor, Norwood, even as far as Norwood Grand in Woodlands, on the first day, we can actually see that, okay, based on this price point, right, if they develop the prices sensitively, they can achieve anywhere from 85% to 100% sell-out. So, if you're actually potentially looking at Faber Residence, I suggest you don't wait for after launch, because after launch, it's very likely that this project is also going to be more than at least 70% okay, sold. Now if we actually compare Faber Residence with the upcoming 2026 OCR pricing, because there were some land bids this year. So for example, the land bids at say Lakeside, these plots were bid for over 1,100 per square foot per plot ratio. Plots at Chuan Grove and Bayshore, they were bid for as high as $1,388 per square foot per plot ratio. All the OCR projects next year are actually going to be at least 26% to 54% higher than at Faber Residence. On to the price comparison, right? Let's say if Faber Residence does average at $2,100 to $2,300 per square foot, it's also good to know that there is good price support from the resale developments in the area, such as at Park Clementis. So Park Clementis is actually a very good example because this project is pretty new in the area, actually launched around also 2019. And we see the 3 bedrooms in this area, the highest PSF here in terms of resale pricing is already been 2,575 per square foot. Of course, this was under the old non-harmonized rule. If we convert the PSF to make it harmonized, then probably we can average the PSF here is already the equivalent of $2,730 per square foot. If you look at the smaller 3-bedders as well, the smaller 3-bedders have also hit around 2,323 per square foot, and the harmonized PSF is around 2,462 per square foot. So I would say the second reason to consider Faber Residence is also because development, I would say, has a very clear exit strategy. Why I say it's very clear, so let's just say that a lot of the natural demand will also naturally come from the HDBs in the surrounding area. So of course in Clementi, it's not uncommon to have the 4-room flats actually transacting 1.1 to 1.2 million thereabouts. 5-room flats here also hit more than 1.3 to 1.4 mil. All these owners are definitely exiting with a very high profit margin and capital gain with very big cash proceeds. And if we look at the upcoming supply, there's also going to be close to about 2,600 units that are going to MOP in the next 3 years. And not just the existing MOPA supply, there's also plenty of future BTO supply coming to the area as well. And the next thing is also that within surrounding Faber Residence, of course, we have all the landed property owners here. Some of them will naturally downsize to smaller units as well as in condo areas. So next, the upcoming Jurong Regional Line as well will also add certain transformation juice into the area as well. Of course, let's just say that we talk about the Cross Island Line as well as the Jurong Regional Line, okay, right over here at the Jurong area. And then of course, as we know, Clementi is going to be the intersection for the Cross Island Line and the East-West Line as well. These are all planned to be opening in phases from 2027. So this will naturally also spur demand in the area as well. Okay, so now let's run through 2 reasons why you should be concerned about Faber Residence. Naturally, the first main objection for this project would be that this project is definitely not near the train station. Okay, if we're looking at Faber Residence and we look to walk towards Clementi Central itself, based on Google, it's actually about a 25-minute walk. This is currently still in discussion, but the developer is likely or even planning planning for a shuttle bus service to the nearest MRT station. Okay, but nonetheless, you could still walk a quick distance to Commonwealth Avenue West and then take the bus down to Clementi Central next time. I would say that it's actually a fact that in Clementi, the projects that are near MRT are actually mostly the HDB projects. If you're talking about private properties, right, actually one of the closest ones is probably projects like Triling or either Park Clementis. So let's say, we talk about Park Clementis. Park Clementis is also about 1 to 1.2 km, depending on whether you're walking from the side gate or not, to Clementi Central. This is something that people in Clementi are very used to if they buy a private property. I mean, it's an acceptance and also how you adjust to the area and how you want to get to the Clementi Central side next time. Park Clementis, not being near MRT, but also possesses same qualities as Faber, such as being within 1 km of Nanhua. And we can see actually in terms of capital gain, it's not near MRT factor. Actually, it's not really a factor. One bidders all the way until the cluster housing, right, has already made very good gain over the last few years. Similarly, if you're looking at the Clement Canopy, so the Clement Canopy is actually 1.3 km from Clementi MRT. Clement Canopy, of course, is not within 1 km of Nanhua Primary also. It still has shown very good profitability in the last few years. So, I would say from a numbers perspective, definitely you don't have to be too concerned about it. It's just about whether you can make your own adjustments for the area or not for Faber Residence, especially since it's also quite deep in within Faber Estate. Now, I'll say the last concern would be that the project is actually right next to AYE. If you take a look, this is actually the plot of Faber Residence, and this side here is AYE. We have some condos opposite like Park Rivera, Twin View, as well as Whistler Grand. It being next to AYE, this could definitely be noisy. In Clementi, typically the properties here, quite a number of them are actually along AYE and facing AYE directly. I would say, for trade-off, if you're facing the AYE side, could potentially be the views, because a lot of the projects here also have the Pandan Reservoir view. Okay, but all of them actually for the view, they have to withstand some of the noise from the AYE as well. But I'll say, in terms of the profitability, right, it's proven that in Clementi, AYE facing units still profit, same as non-AYE facing. For example, if you take a look at the Clement Canopy, let's take Stack 10 as well as Stack 11 as an example. These are both the same layout for the 3-bedder plus yard layout. Of course, Stack 11 naturally faces the AYE. Stack 10 is actually inward facing. And if you take a look at the profitability for both Stack 11 as well as Stack 10, all the both facing actually have their own pretty good capital gain as well over the last few years. So, I'll say in this area, people who stay in Clementi, this is something that they have accepted or are used to. It's quite similar to, say, in the East Coast, right? If you take a look at projects such as Silver Sea, or even in the Mayor area, right? A lot of them are actually facing ECP as well. This is just a part of the lifestyle and the living in the area, and people are also used to it. Okay, but at the end of the day, of course, if you get a good ballot number, you could also pick a more inward facing for the project, and that will also help to alleviate some of the road noise. Okay, so that comes to the end of our video. So I hope you have found this informative. The information such as the floor plans have not been released yet, but I've left my contact here. You can actually scan this QR code to WhatsApp me. Do remember to like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you. Bye-bye.